argument on Facebook, which I try to steer clear of because it's never beneficial. No one says, let me go argue on Facebook to have my opinion changed. But sometimes I just cannot help myself. And so my first response is always, have you read the Bible in its original text? And then without fail, the response I get is, well, I've read the King James Version and I stand by it. And I want to be like, wait, pause, hold the phone. You think the Bible is written in English? Like, what the fuck? Yes, this in the Middle East.
All right, and welcome to the Collinsontherocks podcast. I'm your host, Collins. This week we have a special guest. It is the one and only, it is Leowt. Leowt, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Absolutely. I'm actually super stoked because it's my first time getting to be on a podcast. So I'm kind of the shit right now.
Well, it's trial by fire, and
yes, perfect.
You're on in 3, 2, 1. Okay.
Trial by Fire seems like the name of like my memoir from my time at a Christian college or something. So
thank God. Well, that is exactly what I want to talk about because I saw that I love that you utilize Facebook Live because I think the way that you use Facebook Live is exactly how it should be used.
Absolutely.
And not some of these like buy my $5 jewelry. Which,
oh my God, right?
no shade in their game, but it ain't my flow. So,
right.
But Leowt, we have been through hell and high water, through basically trauma, through the Christian church, as well as a kind of shitty Christian college.
Absolutely.
So before we jump into that, tell us in like less than 2 minutes, who the fuck are you?
Less than 2 minutes, bro. I am a pastor at heart. You know that 2 minute time limit is going to be hard for me. So I am a non-binary queer artist who grew up in a assigned female at birth, and I was in a conservative Christian family. So I always had this understanding of myself, and my orientation to the world was that of someone who was just completely supposed to be in ministry, called to be a pastor. That was my whole purpose in life. And like I said, assigned female at birth. So with these pre-described gender roles from both society and my family. And what happened was like, I was so conservative. I didn't know I was conservative, and so evangelical that I didn't know that evangelicals weren't the whole church world. So come time for me to go to college, on my very first day of soccer practice in college, one of my friends said like, hey, are you gay? And I was like, no. And they were like, oh man, like I just realized I'm gay, and I wanted to come out to you because I thought you were too. And that was like the bell that can't be unrung in my life. For the next 4 years of college, I spent the first 2.5 hating myself and trying to deny that. And then I spent the next, 1.5 making peace with it, coming out to those close around me, and then building up the courage to come out publicly. So that was kind of, like I said, the bell that can't be unrung. And since then I've been through some things, and I've been an aspirant in the Episcopal Church. I've applied to seminary 3 times and not gone because it just didn't feel right. But apparently I just can't keep my mouth shut when it comes to to the church and gay people. Because, despite having, I wound around in my life to meeting the love of my life, a beautiful, intelligent, spiritual woman who is also a mother with whom I have gotten to parent 5 beautiful children. So like I'm living this life, and I found a home in the profession of hair. We have a successful salon. We're actually opening up a second space here. Yeah, it's wild. And in the midst of all of that, I decided, hey, like, why don't you take on the evangelical church?
Yeah, why not?
Right. Like that seemed like a good decision. So it's been 10 years since college, and about 7 years since I really just kind of stopped engaging with the church. But I received word of a video from a local evangelical pastor up here, one better you than evangelical. It's a non-denominational church, so no covering. This person has no theological education, but this cis het white straight male is comfortable getting up at his church and preaching that gay people are going to hell and that God hates people and all sorts of stuff. And in one of his like kind of tirades on social media, he said that trans women are just a bunch of dudes who are messed up in the head. And he said that Black Lives Matter is evil and you need to honor the badge. And, you know, the police are those who stand up for what's right. And we as a church, like if we aren't supporting them, then we're not really being the church. I mean, just he's calling people morons left and right. Like he's just wielding the Bible like a club instead of a shield. So about a week ago, I decided to explode my personal life and finally break my silence in regards to the evangelical church. And it's been a literal explosion since then.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
So basically, like where you live, I mean, because you live in New York area.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like New York City, but it's the arm of New York.
Yep. Yeah, we're on the opposite side of New York from the city. So we're closest to Buffalo, New York. My town is about 14,000 people. It is about 96 or 98% white by our last census. It is as rural and conservative as you get.
Oh. Well, that's perfect that you can set them on fire because I'm sure that, you know, with most of their oxygen tanks and their, you know, their peroxide hair, I'm sure it'll be perfectly flammable.
Absolutely.
First off, I love that like you were just so unashamed to like willingly take on this, I mean, no pun intended, but Goliath of a church. That I would be so embarrassed if I ever participated in a church that was spearheaded by someone so malicious and so targeted. And after that one person came on your post and was like, dead naming you, which I was like, I was getting pissed because I fucking hate it when people dead name me. But not only were they dead naming you, but they were like subtweeting you and talking about you behind your back on their page. Like they don't make everything fucking public.
Exactly. Yeah. And did you see, I'm not sure. So I made the original video about that church where I was standing in front of my salon, which it just so happened that someone smashed out our window because we had a happy pride. We had a sign up that said the first Pride was a riot against police brutality, hashtag happy pride, hashtag Black Lives Matter. Someone smashed that window out with a rock, and the cops in town just quote unquote don't think it fits the bill of a hate crime. Kid you not. So I made my first video in front of that. And then after I made that first video, in which video I made sure to not mention that church by name and not mention that person by name, because this is a problem within the larger non-denominational evangelical church. After I made that video, this said pastor decided to go on his church's page and do a live in which he referred to me as she the entire time. And then he called me violent and hateful and irrational. And I made a follow-up and I said, don't confuse me speaking with passion and conviction as being violent, hateful, or irrational. That is emotional gaslighting, and that will not stand.
Yeah.
Because that's not okay. Like, I'm speaking out with the same amount of conviction that you are, but I'm with more conviction and with more emotional control because I'm not actually yelling and no veins are bulging in my neck, you know?
Yeah. Holy shit.
Yeah.
I mean, all I want to do in my life is emulate you, because your mission in life, no, seriously, your mission in life is to not appease the greater, you know, audience of man, but to appease your partner, your family, and God.
Yep, absolutely. 100%. 100%. That's it.
And that's exactly what the fucking Bible says to do.
Doesn't it seem remarkably similar to a book that we've read a shit ton in class, you know?
I mean, it's only my minor. You've
Right.
put way more hours into it than me, but
Yep. I do
I
have a
mean,
bachelor's of science in pastoral ministry with a concentration in church growth and development. Like,
oh,
it literally
my
doesn't matter in
God.
any other venue, but this venue. Like, I've literally been training for this my whole fucking life, and I don't think this guy realizes that.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, personally, my degree is worthless. Like,
Right. Yep.
I went to a Christian college because at the time I was closeted, and I've, been super open on the podcast about it.
Yeah.
How I was closeted, how, people were calling me, a dyke and, a fag behind my back. And I just brushed it off because I was like, oh, because I kissed a girl one time or 8 times at a party, like whatever.
Yeah, just a couple, just here and there.
Fine. It's fine.
Everything's
whatever.
fine. Everything's fine.
But like, I have a degree in teaching, but it was also like how to teach, like, share your beliefs with people. And it's like, that's not what teaching is.
It's not what it's about. No.
And little did I know that I went to a school and taught, and I was like, I fucking hate this shit.
Oh no, that's the worst.
Like, I liked the aspect of, like, because when I'm passionate about something, and I obviously ooze it, especially when I talk about like wrestling online, and I talk about like the history of like women's wrestling, and I talk about all these points, and I get other people excited, which I knew that when I was teaching, I got kids excited about learning.
Right.
Nyack College didn't tell me about the politics that go behind teaching, because I don't think they fucking knew.
No, they didn't.
And I had no idea that there's like teachers unions. I had no idea that if you speak out in, a superintendent meeting or, a school board meeting, like, you could be on the chopping block to get your entire department like canceled. And
I feel like they just prepare people to go teach at like small unaccredited Christian like schools, you know what I mean?
Like part-time for $1,400 a year.
Exactly. Yeah, which, like, great. I can totally pay my bills. I can totally pay my student loans back with that.
Yeah. Nope.
It's gonna be a no for me, dog.
If I lived at home. Oh wait, I didn't get that opportunity, but
exactly.
I'm not bitter at all.
Not at all.
I want to, like, talk about the thing that like attracted me to your friendship was like when they were setting, all like the small groups out or whatever, they were like, okay, these are all like your leaders, and these people are located in this dorm. And like, for some reason, I remember them being keen on like, make sure that, guys with guys and girls with girls. And I was like, perfect, because I relate more with women anyway.
Exactly.
And like, I just remember, I think that yours met in Simpson.
We did. Yep, we met in Simpson.
And I remember it was like one of the first times, and all I was talking about was Seattle and how much I love Seattle and all this stuff. And like, we bonded because of Under Oath and like emo music and all this stuff. And I just remember you looked at me straight in the eyes and you were like, you're here now. You're not in Seattle, you're here. And that was something that like radiated in me throughout my college, career, was like, I need to be in the moment here now, because all of my friends were stuck in Seattle, struggling, not going to college, getting pregnant, some, chose that life. That's the life that they chose. But it's like, I chose to go to college in another state. Those were intentions that I made. And I'm sure that I could have, weaseled my way to stay back in Washington, but I chose to come here, and I needed to make that as a time. So I want to say thank you for, saying those, gut punching,
yeah, no, I mean,
things.
It's so cool to hear, like, when you, like, it's so cool to hear people say, like, you impacted my life in this way, because I think sometimes as people, we don't always realize the amount of impact that we have on others. And so it is like really validating to hear that, like, that meant something, especially because like I kind of have and this is where I'll digress a little bit into using Christianese, because no matter where I grow and where I go in life, Christianity will always be my first language when it comes to spirituality. So like currently, I don't even know where I stand in relationship to Christianity, but I know that Christianity will always be my first language. Listen to me. Here I am trying to go to seminary, and I'm like, I don't even fucking know if I'm a Christian. But to digress back to that Christian language, like I've always had this kind of like discernment and this weird ability to say like what people needed to hear in the moment and to know what they needed to hear. And it's lost me some friends in life because I didn't temper it when I was younger. I'd just be like in a public setting and I'd be like, hey, I can tell you're suffering because this, that, and the other. Let me pray for you. And people are like, get the fuck away from me, kid. So like my ability to say things to people has kind of not always been such a positive. So I'm glad to hear that it was a positive in that instance.
Oh, hell yeah. And it was one of those things that like Nyack College attracts certain kinds of people. So like there's always like the Midwest people who have never lived outside their parents' home. And they go from 0 to 120 miles an hour burnout, and then ring by spring or what have you. And there's some people that kind of like grew up in the Nyack area. Maybe they grew up in Manhattan or Bronx or whatever, and they kind of grew up idolizing Nyack College as this like collegiate thing, and they end up coming to Nyack and they're like, oh, this is really how it is, but I'm a part of this scholarship program, so I'll stick around. But then I feel like they were the outer few, especially people that we all knew were like part of the queer community, but because Nyack College again is a Christian college and they think that homosexuals are not inherent in the kingdom of God,
right?
Like the amount of like people that I would encounter, and I always tell this to myself, like the people that I attracted in college were all a part of the queer community.
Absolutely. Yeah. Same here. And even though I didn't really realize that was what was happening until, until like towards the end of my time there, like it was absolutely what was happening.
And I laughed the other day because I was like, all of like my male crushes that I had in college were like closeted gay men.
Oh God, of course, because it always happens like that, bro. It always happens like that. Like I had a boyfriend at one point, and it was like I only ever had one official boyfriend, and he was a missionary kid, and I met him when I was on a short-term missions trip, like a summer-long missions trip at the place that he worked, or that his family was at. Well, he ended up coming to Nyack, and I don't know what could have been more telling than the fact that I was a female rugby player and a female athlete, and he was a male cheerleader. Like, what the fuck? We're gonna file that under fooling nobody. I can't make this up. I can't make it up.
That file folder is all kinds of rainbow and gay ass shit right there.
My family always says, well, like the portion of my family that like was supportive of me throughout the whole coming out period, which is a very limited portion, but they always said like you were in a glass closet, and I maintain to this day that I was the last person that knew I was gay. Like rainbow file folder, you know what I mean? 100%.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that I bled some color of blue, pink, or purple.
Yep, absolutely.
Had no idea.
Absolutely.
Why are those my favorite colors? No idea.
No, I have no clue. It just so happens that I like them, Just so happens that all of my friends are lesbians. I don't know how that happened.
I don't know how that happened. Well, I also think that like being involved in like, stereotypical like, female sports. Like it's just like all lesbians. And it's
bro, like, if you want to know the gayest spot at a Christian college, go to the female sports teams. That's all I'm fucking saying.
Which was always so ironic to me because I was like, my parents sent me to Nyack College because they found me with a female partner, and they were like, yeah, oh my God, have I not told you this? Oh
no, I don't think so.
Because I was trying to be so quiet about it, probably.
Right.
because when I lived in Seattle, I told my parents I didn't want to go to college. That I was like, you know what? I went through like a couple classes at community college. Not for me.
Right.
Maybe I'll go to, you know, hair school or like whatever. And I was like into this, like, you know, one guy that treated me like absolute dog shit.
Of course.
And would cheat on me with this girl named Chelsea.
Okay. Fuck Chelsea, first off.
Okay, well, fuck Chelsea because I did fuck Chelsea. And what my sister walked in.
Shut up.
And I was like, because I was convinced for so long that I was a virgin because I didn't have a penis inside my vagina. So I was like, it's fine. We weren't having sex, whatever. Right. And of course, my sister elaborated the details, told my parents, you know, my parents flew, you know, back out to Seattle because they had just moved to New Jersey. And they were like, we have a solution that I think would be beneficial to you.
Right, right.
And like, I was on the brink of already getting kicked out of my old church. And it was just like, okay, makes sense.
Here we go.
Brand new Christian experience, but I'm still the same person.
Right.
But
wow.
Yeah, wild. It was one of those things that it was like, this isn't conversion therapy, but like, here are all the underlining verses of how what you were doing is not correct.
Exactly. Well, and then you have fucking, and I can't accentuate this fact enough that we had a fucking week at Nyack College called Sexual Healing Week in chapel. What the fuck? First of all, did no one listen to Marvin Gaye? Second of all, I cannot be the only person that realized that every one of those fucking people that got up there and preached about being straight now were still so fucking gay.
They definitely have that, you know, tab on their Mozilla Firefox.
Absolutely.
Or incognito mode because they can't have anyone know.
Exactly. You got to go private with that browser.
Yeah. Yeah. And I remember like how many people would tell me like, you know, things of like my orientation, but because I was like, no, I'm straight. Like I'm so straight. Like
totally straight.
If you have to convince yourself that you're straight by like staring at pictures of men or, you know, what have you, it's
probably a losing battle. It's probably a losing battle.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I used to have a collage of just Britney Spears.
Shut up. Like, I love it.
Yeah. Like,
you better work, bitch.
Yeah. But it was like every People magazine, every like, you know, Life or InStyle or whatever. And it was like paparazzi, like, oh, look at Britney, like her, you know, top came off, and I'd be like cutting that shit out.
Back in the day when you still had to cut shit because everything wasn't digital, right?
Like... Right, exactly. It can't be the wallpaper of my phone. God.
It can't be. Didn't have it back then.
But yeah, there was that, and there was like a poster of Lita, and because she wore like her thong, like straps like way high, so then, you know, her cargo pants like hung down low.
Oh my God, I loved that look. And I just thought it was the coolest thing when I saw the Pink video for Get the Party Started. I was like, oh, that's such a cool look. And there were so many signs along the way that I should have, like, really big flashing signs, you know what I mean? Like,
I know, but like you try to tell yourself, and then there are those stupid like prayer groups or whatever that they like, can we all hold hands? Like, oh, I just love being close to girls. Isn't this being so intimate? And exactly. I'm like, I love being intimate with women.
Yep.
Mostly naked.
Yep.
But like friends, right?
But
like
totally, just friends. Yeah, totally.
Like, and I don't know. I just always remember being that like, I don't know, whatever person that was like, let's go skinny dip in the Hudson River. Like, come on, girls. Like,
let's do it. It'll be so much fun.
It'll be so much fun. And then someone will tell me, like, I think I'm gay. And I'd be like, perfect.
Yep.
Let's date.
Yep. Here we go.
Can get some tequila shooters over here so that someone can...
Yeah, I'm just saying, like I wasn't gay, but all of my girlfriends were.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So that's how it went down.
So, yeah. So, I mean... we both went to this college. It's obviously oriented toward the Christian religion. Now, before we jump into it, I do need to go to an ad break. So
sounds fair.
We'll jump into that, but I want to hear more about your life post Nyack. So just
sounds good.
Let's jump in. One moment. It's 2020. I'm sure it hasn't gone exactly to plan. You probably have a lot to think and say in this time of quarantine. And you know what? Your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, they're all valid. And you probably want to put them someplace, maybe a blog. Well, blogs are cool. I have a blog. But if you really want to have your voice heard, why don't you make a podcast? Probably don't know where to host a podcast. Well, if you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. First off, it's free. You don't have to put any money down. You don't have to host it yourself. It is free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will also distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many other platforms. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. That's right. Your auntie from Seattle can listen to your podcast and you can get money. I want to give you money all the time. So make a podcast. It's everything you need to make a podcast. How many times can I say podcast in one ad? It's all in one place. You'll love it here. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Let's make 2020 great. Make a podcast. Anchor.fm to get started. Have you ever laid down on your bed to try to squeeze into your jeans and to try to use the bed as leverage to slam that button shut? Well, if you've ever done that, you should really check out Shapermint. What's Shapermint? Well, they're a comfortable, breathable shapewear that gives you the confidence that you need. I think that self-care is whatever you see fit. And lately, I've been needing shapewear, and that is my form of self-care. I like to use the control top leggings when I work out. They don't roll down. They don't catch on, my love handles, but they really suck everything in. They also have a side smoothing bralette on days that I don't want to hassle with a wired bra. I don't think I've worn a wired bra in like 3 months. So it's really become my go-to. You don't have to worry about anything rolling down, cutting into your sides, cutting off circulation, leaving red marks on you. There's some patent technology in this shapewear, and it really is that perfect thickness that even my big butt can't burst through. So you've seen the ads, you've heard me talk about them on social media, but now you can get $10 off your first order. The link will be below. Claim your gift. This is my gift to you. $10 off your first order. You won't want to take off this shapewear. And I mean it. I've worn so much shapewear in my life that when you take it off, you feel like a sausage cased in. That's not what these are. It really is odd how comfortable and breathable it is. I would sleep in it if I wasn't worried that I would ruin it. So if you're wondering how Shapermint is, you can look at the reviews. They're fantastic. And I'm really glad that they are a sponsor for the podcast. So get $10 off your first order. Click the link down below. Try it out for yourself. All right. Well, Leo, we've been talking about the shit show that is Nyack College, which, it sucks to be them.
It does. It sucks to suck.
To not manage their money well enough.
Womp womp.
Womp womp. What was your feeling when you heard the news that Nyack was was closing their main campus, as they
Listen,
say.
I'm not going to lie to you. I had so many feelings that I was just glad I had counseling the next day. I was like, oh,
Oh,
fuck, I can't even begin to process this. Like,
yeah,
I'm 10 years out. I shouldn't be feeling all of these things. Like,
right,
I am a strong, confident, genderqueer business owner, parent,
right.
partner. Like, I'm all of these things. And yet I see that sign, like, I see the sign, I see the
Mm-hmm.
bubble, I see Simpson. And I'm just like, oh, I don't know how to feel about that.
Yeah.
But it's a whole mix of feelings because like I had such a shitty time there in some ways, but in other ways, if I would not have gone there, if I would have gone to the more conservative Christian, more rural places that I had also applied, if I had
Mm-hmm.
gotten a soccer scholarship elsewhere, I don't know if I would have ever had the courage to come out because of being in that more urban environment, and luckily being in it at the college at a time where there was some liberal staff members. I think, to use this phrase, by the grace of God, I made it to Nyack. And it was
Yeah.
rough to make it out, but I don't know if I personally would have made it out if it wasn't for my time at Nyack. Because, like, whereas I stand in almost a post Christian standpoint now, I was
Mm-hmm.
so steeped in the church that I couldn't hear from someone who was not Christian that it was okay to be gay. I had to
Mm-hmm.
hear it from a Christian leader, you know what I mean? And so I think going to Nyack, while it sucks and while my credit score will forever be in the single digits because of it, I think in some ways I lucked out.
Yeah.
So
Well, you had like, uh, you know, you went in probably like a lion and
yeah,
kind of, went out, covered in, scrapes and
yep,
scars and
yeah.
everything because of the way that leadership treated you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's what led me to the point of making that video that we're all talking about. Which feel free to post the link to that if you
I
want.
will. I'm
So
I'm I'm gonna side note, I'm
yeah.
gonna take excerpts
Oh,
of the
perfect.
video and splice up it,
Very
you
cool.
know.
Splice away, my dude. Splice away. But what led me to be able to make that first video was, first of all, a lot of fucking counseling. Thank you, Fidelis Insurance, for having coverage. Right,
Yes.
shout out. But a lot of what led me to be able to have that conversation was the history and experience that I do have with the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people, like, there was a while where I wasn't Christian enough for the Christians and I wasn't gay enough for the gays. But now I've
Mm-hmm.
come to realize that I'm exactly who I was supposed to be, because there are so many people in America in particular, and in the non-denominational church, suffering under the boot of this colonialist, cis het, white, Protestant, just alpha male rhetoric. Right, there's so many people that
Yeah.
are being crushed under the boot of that right now. And
Mm-hmm.
realistically, it takes someone from within that circle who understands the language to be able to extend a hand and say, like, yo, you don't have to live like this. There are
Yeah.
other people and other faith communities that will wholeheartedly support you and welcome you. And when you're in that situation, you don't know that, because when you're in that kind of church, you're taught that that church is the way, that church is the only one. I grew up thinking that Catholics weren't even Christians.
Same. What the fuck,
What
dude?
the fuck? Like, Catholic means like the whole church, like the word Catholic. Like, that's where we
Yeah.
fucking came from. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, the Catholic Church is closer to the Book of Acts church than the
Mm-hmm.
Christian Missionary Alliance ever was,
Oh.
because they have an actual
Oof.
lineage.
Yeah.
And these non-denominational churches, I like to call them McDonald's churches. They pop up in prefab buildings. They pop up with, their own menu of, this is what the gospel says, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a mixed church, right? Whereas the
Mm-hmm.
Anglican church, the Catholic church, those churches are tied to church history.
Oh my god.
Big difference.
Shit. And like that was like something that like with the Christian Missionary Alliance that I had such an issue with was they had all these things that they said this is what the Bible said, and then it'd be
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, but if you're teaching us like the actual Greek and Hebrew translation and it actually means this, why do you believe this? Well, this person said blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, now that you're just taking a translated word out of context when it actually means XYZ.
And I used to joke around with some friends of mine that, like, you couldn't even say the phrase biblical inerrancy at Nyack because you just immediately get kicked out. But the thing is that the Bible, as we know it today, is a giant game of telephone. It is.
Oof.
It's been passed through the hands and mouths and pens of how many people since the original oral traditions happened, because the Bible wasn't even written originally. It was an oral tradition.
Right.
And it, better yet, level up, it was written by people who spent time with a brown revolutionary who was anti-government, who was murdered by the police state for his beliefs.
Fucking A.
How are you going to use that book to defend police brutality and cisgendered heteronormativity? You can't do it effectively unless you go through some serious mental hula hoops to convince yourselves that you're right.
Amen. You know, and fuck. Okay. But like, so, you know, I'm on OnlyFans, and you know, it's part of, you know, an extension of this podcast where I have like a wine and bath night, and I have some of the greatest conversations with people. And it is behind a paywall, and I 100% support sex workers. I personally don't do, you know, the smut work or what have you, but I mean, boobs are boobs are boobs. So like, why the fuck not?
Right.
And not to plug my OnlyFans.
Not to plug my OnlyFans, but I'll drop the link in the bio.
Yeah. But like, there's a reason why Jesus Christ, the Son of God, hung out with probably someone who would do OnlyFans.
Hell yeah. Jesus Christ was a brown anarchist who had friends that were it today would be like OnlyFans like superstars.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
what
that
the
motherfucker
fuck?
at the well.
Hell
like,
yes.
Hello.
Hell yes.
She was writing her hashtag link on that well.
She was. Hello. She was like, follow me at OnlyFans.
Samaritan woman. Yeah.
Exactly. And like, the thing is that wasn't contradictory to Jesus.
Right.
That wasn't a conflict to Jesus. Because you know what fucking mattered? Feeding the homeless and the poor and helping the widows and the orphans. Bro, there's like 32,000 verses in the Bible, right? 7 of them are loosely misconstrued to reference homosexuality. Right. There is over 2,000 verses that deal with poverty and social justice. I'm not a mathematician, but what's that ratio?
I don't
7
know.
versus 2,000. It's a fuck ton. Let's just say that.
It's a lot.
and that's like, if there is a Jesus that I'm interested in following, and if there is a reason that I want to still engage with Christianity, it's that guy. It's not fucking Swedish Jesus, fucking Blue Lives Matter preacher. Like, it's not that.
The one that, you know, dead names
me repeatedly, and then tries to gaslight me to discredit me. I don't want to say it's a page out of the Republican playbook. but you don't get to say that. You don't get to just completely disregard my facts and then be like, you're just on your period, you emotional woman. You know what I mean? Like, that's not what we're doing. It's fucking 2020. And when I step to you with real exegesis, you better step back with something more than dead naming.
Listen, I am ready to wipe my blood on the door frames of these motherfuckers' houses.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
I don't know what it is. And I agree with you that like Nyack College really did shape who we are as people now.
Yep.
Because I couldn't imagine, you know, my life without Nyack College.
Right.
Even though
it kind of sucked.
It was literal hell for me.
Yep.
But I just find it to be so interesting. And I love that you said, I mean, over 2,000 verses about, you know, the homeless, you know, feeding the homeless. And then seven verses about
loosely misconstrued, right?
I mean, Yeah, I mean, we were talking, and it's actually 1946 is going
Okay.
to be this documentary exposing how there was a biblical mistranslation
Yep.
where people in the clergy in the Catholic Church decided to pay this translator to take this word and make it homosexual.
Yep.
So that they could basically discriminate against,
fit their agenda. Yeah. You
yeah,
know what's interesting about that word? Because, like, as part of my major, I had to read the Bible in Greek and Hebrew. So, like, the words that are being used in the New Testament to reference homosexuality, the things that are translated as homosexuality, actually reference and practice of basically pedophilia. It was older men raping younger boys. It's called pedastery. And so
yeah.
that's the word. If you want to go back to the real text. Now, first of all, motherfuckers don't want to go back to the real text, because whenever I get into an argument on Facebook, which I try to steer clear of because it's never beneficial, no one says, let me go argue on Facebook to have my opinion changed. But
Yeah.
sometimes I just cannot help myself. And
Yeah.
so my first response is always, have you read the Bible in its original text? And then it, without fail, the response I get is, well, I've read the King James Version and I stand by it. And I want to be like, wait, pause, hold the phone. You think the Bible is written in English? Like, what the fuck? Yes, this in the Middle East, in ancient biblical times, yeah, this white ass English speaking motherfucker rolled up and just like, let me scribble down what you're saying. No. No.
Wait, is that Jesus with a J or a G? Can you just like phonetically spell that
Jesus
for me?
with a J. I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm dead.
But yeah, I have such an issue. And like, I also feel trauma because of what has happened in my personal life. How,
Right.
when, nobody gives you a pamphlet, like, here's what you do when you're raped.
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
here is what God says.
Yep.
Like, that's not a thing that
Like,
exists.
but don't you think that should be? Like, don't you think
Yes.
that would be such a more beneficial sermon to have? Like, this is how we cope with
Yes.
trauma. This is what the Bible says about our deepest wounds. This is what the
Yes.
Bible says about uncovering your true identity in the face of people who have abused you for your whole life. Like, that's what the Bible is for.
Right. Like, fuck, like, this is what to do when you realize that your relative is touching you inappropriately.
Yep.
Like, come here.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, come. This is when you come. Like, this is where you come when you're hurting. But
right.
instead it's become a fucking, I keep joking about the church here, you know what I mean? I keep joking about their sexy coffee bar. Like buy our shirt, tithe through our app. Look at our
Yeah.
intelligent lights that follow our worship leader, who is a Scott Stapp lookalike with a rebellious backwards baseball cap on. Like, what the fuck is this? It's a bad
Probably.
sitcom. It's not a place that you come when you're hurting.
Yeah.
I can't, like,
Oh.
to me, like, that's why I had to speak up in that video, because I cannot let this motherfucker have the mic for 1 second longer in an unchallenged manner, because you're doing a disservice to the entire fucking purpose. Like, I take the Bible too seriously to let you continue to wield it as a weapon, and instead of hold it up as a shield. I take this whole thing too seriously, and I don't even fucking know if I'm a Christian anymore, but I take that, my experiences growing up, way too seriously to let you be the only voice in this conversation.
Yeah. Holy shit. Yeah.
It's like, I just do. And like, so here I am, fucking dumbass me, 10 years out of recovering from this college trauma situation that we, that we'd experienced together, 7 years out from the last time that I've bothered to step foot in a church. And here I am, like, let's just fucking explode my personal life. Like, let's make this video. Let's single-handedly stand up and take a swing at the evangelical church. That seems like a good fucking idea to do on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And like, something that is so admirable about you, because you are taking a swing, you're not just swinging for yourself, you're swinging for every, queer individual who has either touched your life or will touch your life, in the future, because we're all standing behind you as well. We're ready. I mean, I'll go, Marsha P. Johnson on everyone's ass and just fucking throw a brick.
Dude, it is 2020. It is the year of brick throwing, right?
Yes.
Like, if I'm going to catch a brick for just being me, it's time to throw a brick at the establishment, man. Like, this is the thing. Like I said, I don't even know if it matters to me, but I know it matters to Joelle 10 years ago.
Yeah.
That's my dead name, by the way. Thousands of people who will hear this podcast, I'm sure, widely listened to. But it's the same reason that I feel the need to. I've also been doing work locally for like the Black Lives Matter cause. Fun fact: we started a group called the Olean Racial Justice Coalition, and it's a group of a coalition of people working towards racial justice in our area, which is funny because of the percentage of minorities in our town. But we actually held a protest here in Olean. Over 300 people came, which seems small.
Shit.
It seems small for some people, but for us that is a large turnout. And actually, what was it? Oh shoot, was it the New York Times? Time magazine wrote an article about our protest, and then Barack Obama retweeted it. How badass is that? Yeah, Barack and I are basically besties now.
All I want to do is I just want to hug him.
Me too. I would actually really like to hug Michelle because she's cute as hell. But
I mean, yes, I want to be tied tightly in those arms.
Absolutely.
That I'm just going to be like, I'm sorry I failed you on your workout challenge.
Exactly. And that same thing, that same practicality that leads me to stand up and literally take a swing at the establishment is the same thing that makes me stand up and stand up for this moment with Racial Justice Coalition, because here is the thing, is that we are not equal and free until we are all equal and free. Oof. And if I'm going to subscribe to Christianity, I'm going to subscribe to it because when I went to Nyack College, I decided to go with Hands of Compassion every Saturday morning at fucking 8 a.m. I got up and I made peanut butter jelly sandwiches, and we went to Penn Station. And I'll never forget this time that we were handing out sandwiches in Penn Station, and we were talking to this one guy, and he was just kind of sitting there with his cart, and we handed him a sandwich and hey man, here's a sandwich. We hope your day gets better. Talked to him for a little bit. He's pretty incoherent. We walked away, and then we turned around and looked back, and we saw that there was blood pooling around him. And I think he had a diabetic sore or something, but then the police came over and they of course didn't treat him well. They treated him like it was his problem. And when I went to Nyack College, it's the first time that I ever realized that social justice was a thing. I never heard that phrase in the churches that I went to growing up. And when I had that experience with a faith that actually mattered here and now, it changed me, because I always had this understanding of faith that it was this thing that we worked for, this not yet, this thing to come, this place that's in the future. But when I went to Nyack, one of the things that they did right was practice social justice. And that is the heart of anything that I want to believe in and anything that I want to get behind. And so whether it's in the streets with the megaphone, whether it's popping off in front of my business, to my fancy schmancy video mic that I bought and wrote off as a business expense, whatever it is, right? You got to do it. Whatever it is, that's what my faith should lead me to. It shouldn't lead me to standing up on a fancy stage in my rebellious baseball cap, couched behind my sexy coffee bar, preaching hate. How the fuck did we get that twisted? Jesus was a brown anarchist who fucking had a circle of OnlyFans, talent around him. And Jesus said, yo, you fuckers, let's get together and let's make the world better. Let's feed people. Let's help people. Let's love people. That's the kind of church I want to be invested in.
Hey, you, sweating your ass off while you're listening to this goddamn beautiful podcast. Stop having swamp ass. You have no reason to be wearing underwear from your high school that has holes in it just because no one sees it. You know who does see it? Do you know who sees it? Our Lord and Savior, Penny Lane Ham Sandwich. That's right. She is your spiritual advisor, and she's seen your underwear, and she said, you know what? You need to fucking replace your underwear. So where are you going to go? MeUndies. MeUndies exists to fuel self-expression. They encourage everyone from every walk of life to show their true, authentic self. They've supported Pride. They supported so many other causes. I'm not sure why you are wearing the same underwear for the last 15 years. You know who you are. You know that you get swamp ass. You know that your undercarriage smells like a curry-filled diaper. I don't know why it does smell like that, but it does. And you've been reported and blocked. Wait, don't be blocked. I don't know why I said that. But you should get some new undies. And you know what? MeUndies has given me a code. It's linked down below. It's going to give you 20% off your first order. You're going to want to order that new pair. And if you're hesitant, because, that's like $12 to $14 for a pair of fucking underwear, you're going to be addicted. I would not advertise. I would not accept this as a token upon the podcast if I didn't believe in what they're doing. They're made in the United States. They are giving back. They've worked with the Get Better Project. They work with queer communities. They help homeless youth. And during the pandemic, they've been helping out tons of creators. So get to ordering your first pair of undies for 20% off. It's getcomfy.in/JTH1R. No code needed in checkout. Link is down below. What are you waiting for? Stop wearing those underwears. I'm telling on you. I'm telling your mom. Go buy new underwear. Yeah, amen. Oof. All right. Well, sign me up.
Okay, sounds good. To be determined. I am in fact pursuing seminary again, and we'll see where it goes. But
as long as you can do my hair as well.
I can do that. I plan on being bivocational. Listen, all the queers are in the hair community. I can't give up that pipeline.
Oh, it's something that I wish that I didn't drop out of, beauty school. I wish that I kept pursuing it, but I mean, there's always time.
There is always time. You never know what tomorrow brings.
That's true.
If wine and conversation time falls off, you got it. You know what I mean? There's an old saying about hair school. My wife is a teacher, and they always said they told her right in her orientation when she decided to teach at hair school. They said there's always a stripper in your class. So maybe this is 2020, and there's always an OnlyFans person in your class now.
Listen, you know how many people I've met that I'm like, you seem like, pretty, well-versed, or, you look like you know how to market yourself. And they're like, bitch, yeah, I did an OnlyFans. And
boom, there you go.
Oh, okay.
It's a good time. It's a good time.
Yeah. I mean, I'm down for, any sort of, community, whether it's, I mean, I love the wrestling community, hair community, what have you. But I just want my existence to not be a swear word. Like, yeah, that's like a huge,
hell yeah,
thing that it's like, I just remember at NIAC specifically, I know I keep going back to that, but I just remember like lesbian and gay and every other slang word for it was just... It was just a swear word. It was used. It was used to be divisive. And
Man, I was so uncomfortable with the word lesbian for the longest time. Like,
Yeah.
I think it was like, I almost think it was like patriarchal
Mm-hmm.
heteronormativity, because like it was, subversive. Like, women
Mm-hmm.
are less than, so why would two women want to be together? So when you
Yeah.
say, I want my existence to not be a swear word, that really was a phrase that hit me right there, right in the
Mm.
gut.
Oh,
You know what I
good.
mean?
Well, you're
Thanks for
welcome.
punching me in the gut, bro.
But yeah, like it's so interesting. And when I reached out to the church, like after I was raped, it was kind of like the last time I really walked into a church,
Mm-hmm.
because I remember being like, okay, like I remember having safety and serenity in this building. So
Mm-hmm.
why don't I just join a group and maybe open up a little bit,
Yeah,
because
why
I
don't
don't.
I try?
Or why don't I try? And I remember opening up, and I probably open up a little bit too much because that's my Scorpio moon coming out,
Mm-hmm.
where I meet you and I vomit all over.
Right. Happens
Um,
to the best of us.
but I remember like sharing something, and then someone like being quiet, and then was like, "So do you think that this is God's way of like punishing you?"
I've had the
And
same thing said to me about being gay. Jesus Christ.
and it's like you hear those words, and it's the things that you've told yourself at 2:30 a.m. when
Yes.
you're woken up from, a lucid dream that
Mm-hmm.
leaves you in pools of sweat. It's
Yep.
the words that are the ones that deteriorate your soul, that you need to be put back together, and you
Yep.
think that you can do that at a church.
Yep.
And seeing how most Republicans right now who own yachts and have
Yes.
tax breaks
Yep. Pay
profess
less
that,
taxes than me.
yeah, pay plenty of less taxes, and are telling me that I'm spending too much money on lattes.
Heaven forbid you get a latte.
Yeah. But they're telling me that they are Christian when I don't see the God that I know, that I love, that I've
Yeah.
been influenced by
Yep.
in their life. But because they're white, rich,
Yep.
with a yacht, and a 401k,
Yep.
that
You know
they're.
what's the funny thing too is that, like, no matter how much the church fucking pisses me off, because it does,
Yeah.
I can never unfeel some of the things that I felt when in
Yeah.
a church, or when in a spiritual setting, or when in a worshipful moment. Like, those are the things that I think are the only thing that has kept me anchored to Christianity,
Yeah.
is because there was something there. There
Yeah.
was something that happened,
Yeah.
and I guess I'm just tired of being gaslit out of my own history by the church.
Oof, dude.
That's what abusers do,
Fuck.
man. They gaslight you. It's your fault. It's your problem. You did this. That's their
Yeah.
game, bro. And that's what's coming from the pulpit.
Yeah.
Ooh, real
Oof.
scary when your pastor starts to sound like your abuser.
Oh, isn't that fun?
Isn't that
Not.
though?
Um. I. I also am like remembering all of a sudden that you said something in this group. I remember, like, we were talking about like spiritual experiences, and like
Mm-hmm.
where have you felt the closest to God? And like people in the small group are like saying things like the short-term mission trip,
Mm-hmm.
or spiritual emphasis week, or when this pastor spoke. And I remember like being like, I don't feel any of that
Mm-hmm.
when I'm at church. So
Mm-hmm.
like I'm hearing all these people say this, and I'm like, I just think that like maybe I'm fucked up. And but I remember like saying like the last time I felt God like truly in a sanctuary place was like at an Under Oath concert or something. I was like either Under Oath or like Devil Wears Prada, and I was like,
Yep.
this is where I felt God the
Yeah.
closest to me. And I remember like all these like Midwest girls, probably with the name
Denim.
Shelly.
Denim skirt wearing.
Yes.
Like,
Tucked in with a Nyack College t-shirt,
yep.
like look at me like
Yep.
hard. And I'm just because that those were back in the days when I wore like pastel skinny
Yep.
pants.
Absolutely.
with my, To Write Love in Her Arms shirt, like in
Absolutely.
every
Oh, a
color.
classic, a real classic.
Yeah. And
It's funny that you said that because I remember us going to an Under Oath concert together.
yes.
And that was like the moment I was thinking of right before you said that. And then you said that. That was some weird synergy.
That was. Wait, was that the one that Abby went with
Yes.
us?
Yep.
Oh my God.
Yeah. They're so good. First time I ever heard POS too, and I still fucking love that guy.
Yes.
So
fucking
good.
yes.
So
Oh
good.
my God. But yeah, I haven't thought about Abby in so long. That was a thing that never happened.
It never happened. It's fair. Yeah, man. It's like those are those are some of the moments when I really feel God. And I love asking that question. And I plan to continue to so I guess if you can plug your OnlyFans, I can plug Conversations.
Yes.
So
Yes.
Conversations, if people go on Facebook and look up Conversations official page, that is going to be the page that I'm using going forward for whatever happens with my, I guess we'll say ministry, but once I go to seminary, we'll see what happens. But I'm using Conversations official page as that vehicle to kind of start conversation. The name choice was on purpose because I think that a lot of what people get from spiritual settings as community and conversation, and community is already a television show, so that's out. So I picked Conversation. But I'm going to use that as a page and as a forum to get people talking around these topics. And I'm intentionally posting things like, what does church mean to you? What do you want out of a quote church setting? And I plan to post, it's funny that we're talking about this because I plan to post tomorrow a post about like, tell me a moment when you felt that transcendental, spiritual, godlike moment, like name one and drop it, to see what people say, because I'm genuinely curious. And also it starts a conversation about the places in earth that where we feel that the veil is thin. You know what I mean? The places on earth where we feel that divine presence, what are they? And what are they for you? Because they might not be the same as for me, except I think we can both agree Under Oath will always be one of those.
Always.
Yeah, there we go.
And unfortunately, like the band has been a little, because remember I was like super obsessed with like Aaron Gillespie, and I was like, oh my God, Aaron Gillespie is so hot, so hot, whatever. Unfortunately found things out about his personal life that have tainted him.
Oh no.
Just about him like cheating on his wife and using it to play the victim to come out with a solo album. And then she came out with a Tumblr blog.
So gotta love Tumblr.
I know. And then she like immediately went off social media, and I was like, no, why?
Yeah.
But it sucks when your hero turns out to be just a shitbag, just like everyone else.
I was gonna say there's a metal song, and I wish I could remember who it's by. It's like a hardcore song, like Boston style hardcore. I think it's Death Before Dishonor, but there's a breakdown, and it goes, all my heroes have failed me, and all your heroes will fucking fail you. And sometimes in my early 30s, I feel like that's the story,
Yeah.
Not to be too grim, but
I fucking love that. Oh my God.
It's such a good song. I listen to it like when I'm really pessimistic, which doesn't happen a lot because I'm a natural optimist. But there are those days where I'm like, I gotta bust out that breakdown.
My God.
But so I'm gonna post stuff on that Conversations page. It would be great if people would follow. The whole point is to literally have spiritually minded conversations about life. That's trademarked. Don't try to steal it. But that's the whole focus, because Conversations is church without the bullshit, right? It's a place where people can come and have a conversation, an intentionally intellectual conversation about life and spirituality and all of the intersections that lie therein. You don't have to believe one specific thing. You just have to come to the conversation. And I'm hoping that in that conversation, people will be able to speak their first languages religiously, and we'll all be able to learn and grow from those traditions and the depth of those traditions.
Yeah, fucking hell.
A church without the bullshit. Maybe that's a title. Maybe that should be trademarked.
Listen, church without the bullshit.
I'm trying.
But can there be like baby wipes in the bathroom instead of 2-ply
Oh
toilet
God,
paper?
yes. Yeah, the fucking most lush shit, bro. Like we're
That's
going
all I
for
want.
profit here. I don't mean for my profit, but I mean we are not going cheap as shit, man. We're getting the sexy coffee bar. We're getting the extra comfy chairs, bro. We're doing it.
Okay, as
No
long as
more, no more. Oh my God, like fuck Nyack. Their toilet paper was so crappy that I could have turned in homework on it. So bad.
that's where my obsession um with baby wipes
Yep.
has started, was because Nyack College and their shitty,
Ugh.
basically one ply
One ply college rules toilet paper.
college. Yeah, exactly. Where it's like, oh, did I just get a paper cut on my
Yeah,
asshole? Not quite
exactly.
sure.
Exactly.
But and I I love that, like, we can shit on things about Nyack, and because we have tons of friends who have gone to colleges, like
Yes.
other colleges.
Yep.
That maybe were a little bit more expensive, but never had to eat those stupid fucking chicken patties.
Oh my God. Yes.
Or like
Yes.
a crusty pasta bar.
Oh my God. The cafeteria there, bro. I can't. I can't. I can't even explain it to most people who went to real colleges. They're like, wait,
Yeah.
you had one place to eat? And I'm like, shut up. I know you
Yeah.
have 8 and they're all on your
Exactly.
fucking flex plan. Like
Right.
my son's college, when I see his college, I just think to myself, like, what the fuck did I spend all that money for?
Yeah.
Because
Why
like
am I in debt?
right, like
Because of fucking chicken patties.
he's paying less and he can get custom rolled sushi. Like, get
Oh
the
my
fuck out of
God.
here.
My younger brother went to Seton Hall,
Uh-huh.
and I think they were like 10 grand more a
Uh-huh.
year. But he was the smart kid and did all the scholarships and
Right,
bullshit.
right.
But I remember like visiting him. He's like, "Do you want to go to this cafeteria or this cafeteria?" And I was like, "You have two." What? And he's like, "Well, this one has like a brisket bar, but then
Uh-huh.
like this one has like sushi that like sometimes is good, but like, you know, I just get the cooked, you know, fish." And it's like, I'm still stuck on the fact that you have two.
You have 2? Like, what?
One is opened later, and then one has like, oh, this one also has like a taco time, or
Oh my
you know,
God.
whatever. And it's like, the fuck, bro. Like,
Kids today will never know. We had to
yeah.
walk uphill both ways in the snow to get that fucking crusty chicken patty.
Okay, but somehow, when it snowed on campus, it was somehow uphill both ways.
Oh, always, because it's Nyack. It's a fucking hill. I can't imagine why that property's not desirable to anybody. Let me tell you this. So I actually tore my ACL at a Norma Jean concert. Funny story. I went with a friend of mine from Nyack, and we went to, I don't know, it was by an Ivy League school. It's somewhere in Connecticut, so it was just rich and smart.
Yeah.
But I went to a concert for a Norma Jean concert, and I was in the mosh pit, and I was 2-stepping, and then all of a sudden I was 1-stepping, and I had torn my ACL.
Oh, God.
And so let me tell you how fun it was to come back to Nyack College with a busted ass ACL in a knee immobilizer, using crutches and walking uphill in the snow. Like, fuck that.
And of course, well, because like I tore my Achilles tendon.
Yep.
So, and I remember BNG, or was that buildings and grounds?
Yep.
I remember submitting them from my doctor a note that they had to pick me up.
Oh shit.
Because I was in the education department.
Yeah.
So they had to pick me up at Simpson Hall.
Yep.
And drive me
to Hilltop, right?
Yeah, to Hilltop.
Yep. Oh my God, that's so funny that you had to submit it to BNG.
And it took 2 weeks, and then I got because I then told, I think I told Jamila, who works at registrar.
Yeah.
Because she was like, "Why are you hobbling? Like,
oh my God,
where's BNG?" And I was like, "Don't fucking know."
Yep. No idea.
No idea. They didn't show up, and I have a class in 15 minutes.
Oh my God.
And, of course, get in my car. I'm going to yell at someone.
Yep. Oh my God.
And all it took was like someone yelling and, until spring break, until I came back with a fucking boot on.
Yep.
But
good times. Good fucking times. Another fine story of competency in action. Competency in action. I can't even, man. I can't even.
And like, I think about things of like the ways that like NIAC could have improved. And
yes,
not just like becoming more for profit, but like why are there people who are at NIAC College getting hundreds of thousands of dollars as a salary?
Yep.
And they teach 2 classes.
Yep.
And then, we're going to open up another, whatever computer lab, but it's only open until 5 p.m.
Yes, exactly. Absolutely. Fantastic.
And it's like, you wasted all of this money, and most of us are in class until 5 p.m.
Yeah. Maybe you could have put it into the toilet paper.
Yeah. Maybe put it into like, or like, even just looking at fucking like, oh, you're education major and you need to go to Hilltop. Why don't we like split up Mosley Hall?
Oh my God. Yeah.
And just have the education department like a real college. And when I say real, I mean like real college.
Yep.
That didn't go out of business.
Yep.
But like put you in the dorm that's closest to that department.
Maybe a good idea.
I don't know.
We'll never know now because it doesn't even exist anymore, right?
It's true. Well, Leo, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Thank you for allowing me to shit on NIAC, but also hearing, what the fuck's going on with your life, how you're basically going to create like the gayest church I've ever heard or seen, and I love it, and I want to be a part of it.
Absolutely. Well, that's kind of the thing, is that everybody's welcome. It's kind of like the catch.
What the A is also for allies sometimes, although
this is true.
I've gone on rants about how I don't like, cis straight people getting involved in
We've all had those moments. We've all had them, honey.
I know. It's just so hard. And like, side note, like when I was in, cosmetology school, like working with drag queens in Pittsburgh, like seeing cis white straight women come in for bachelorettes. And just treating the queer community as a tourist attraction made me want to again take my period blood and wipe it on their door frames or their faces. Like it's just, this is also my sanctuary. This is my safe space. This is where I go to church.
Yep, exactly.
And you're turning it into
oh snap. I just had a moment of synergy. It's cultural appropriation of the queer community, as is, people who won't stand up for Black Lives Matter but will, rock Tim's and listen to Kanye or whomever, right? As is this same cis het white conservative interpretation of the gospel, literally stealing my culture from me and pushing me out of it because of who I am. Boom. Fuck. Just a moment of synergy right there in my brain.
Shit.
Damn.
Well, we need to make sure that like we speak with voices and not just have it be like 10 years.
Yeah, we could maybe go shorter next time.
Yeah, I'm into it. You're welcome on the podcast anytime, Leo.
Oh, don't say that because it's gonna go right to my head, man. I'm telling you, first experience, and I'm already on a little bit of a high. So
well, I mean, granted that this podcast is always fun, and I didn't ask you what your beverage of choice is. I downed a pineapple Truly. I don't know if you drink or anything, but
I do. I actually had a lovely regional craft brew right before we chatted.
I love that.
It was a good time.
That is very on brand, and I love that.
It is very on brand, right? My kids always say that I was like I was a hipster before hipsters knew what they were. So.
Oh my gosh.
Guilty as charged.
There's a joke in there somewhere.
There is.
Well, I will plug everything down below. Is there anything else you want to say before we sign off?
Listen, here's the thing. If anybody's trying to exclude you from a community that's based around the Bible, tell them to get the fuck out of there. Because that is literally not the point of the Bible.
Yes.
Don't let yourself, seriously though, for real, if you are listening to this and you're out there and you're feeling like crushed under the boot of this evangelical movement, like, you are not alone, and that's not the only voice that's speaking right now. And there are people that love you, and there are people that will not only tolerate you, but they will actually accept and affirm you. You don't have to settle for being tolerated. You don't have to settle for hiding. You can be both fully known and fully loved in a safe church space.
Oof. Sarah,
just had to say it.
Sarah Jones used to say that to me all the time.
Yes. Yep.
Shout out to that.
Gotta love Jones.
Well, gotta love it. Well, thank you so much. Leo, love your face. Tell your wife thank you for letting me steal you for the last hour.
I sure will. I can't wait to hear how this turns out. Check out some more episodes and definitely sync up with you in the future, my friend.
All right. Love it. All right. Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much again to Leo for coming on the podcast. All the links will be down below if you'd like to join in that conversation on Facebook. Links to Leo's social medias will be down below. It's a really great follow. It is really edifying and uplifting to know that this world isn't such crap. But yeah, I learned a lot, and I felt very akin, so thank you so much. Remember, you can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Collinsontherocks. You can find us on Instagram @Collinsontherocks. Find us on Twitter @CollinsOnTheRocks. It is ROX, so Collins on the ROX. You can always hit up my personal Twitter, Collzorg, COLLZORGS. Thank you so much to our sponsors. Thank you for taking the time to listen to the podcast. I hope this finds you well, and happy Labor Day. I've been Collins. You've been awesome. Let's have a drink. Hopefully really soon. And wear a goddamn mask. Bye.